Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining us for this weekly media briefing. I don't have any particular announcements to start here, but I'm happy to take a few questions. Since you raised your hand first, Shailendra, I'll go with you.
सर शालेंद्र न्यूज़ 18 से आपने देखा होगा ऐसे रिपोर्ट्स आ रही है कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में एक इंडियन स्टूडेंट शुभम गर्ग पर जानलेवा हमला हुआ जिस पर 11 बार उनको स्टैब किया गया। एक तो ये कि इस मामले में इंडियन हाई कमीशन की तरफ से गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से क्या कदम उठाए गए हैं, असिस्टेंस उनको प्रोवाइड किया जा रहा है, और दूसरा क्या ये एक रेशियल अटैक है या नहीं?
But anybody has related to this issue? Yeah, you have something related to this? Go ahead.
So, Australian High Commission in Delhi has confirmed that his brother has been.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm from Times Now. The Australian High Commission has now confirmed that the younger brother has been issued visa. So, will MEA be supporting or in any way to get him as soon as possible to Sydney?
Okay. Nothing else on this topic? Okay, then we'll go to other topics. I'll come back to it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Yesterday, this is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. Yesterday at Sika, India snubbed Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, for what he said on Kashmir, and later both Shehbaz Sharif and subsequent to that, and Meenakshi Lekhi said that they are willing to, reconsider meeting each other, or not reconsider, but willing to walk the talk and, would like to have a friendly neighborhood. Any comments on that? Shehbaz also said that, and Meenakshi Lekhi also said that.
The Sika one, you said, no? Okay, somebody else before that, yeah.
So Siddhant from Beyond. Next month, we will see the so-called Khalistani referendum in Canada. We have seen reports as well. Have you raised the issue? I know the matter has been raised, but how seriously the Canadian government is looking to curtail this development?
Canadian government is looking,
yeah.
Okay.
At the request of India.
Who has the hand up before this? Yeah, go ahead.
This is Manish Kumar Jha from Financial Express. This is regarding the recent comment by UK Home Secretary on the issue of visa and migration and all, and the subsequent report which talks about the talks, the free trade agreement talks have been halted. There are many reports talking about this. What is our official position, and are the negotiations on in this direction, and has it been slowed down for this? How has this impacted? Thank you.
Okay, I'll take this round and then I'll come back. Unless there's something related to this. 1 second, please. No, if you speak like that, it doesn't come on microphone.
This is Sanjay here from the ITV. Related question to.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So UK has blamed India for halting this trade deal, saying that India has been trying to bulldoze, demanding for more work visas and many other things which is not tenable as per their situation.
Sorry, repeat that question. India has been blamed?
UK is blaming India
for halting.
For halting the trade deal, which was expected to happen this month, and Prime Minister Modi was apparently going to London for that.
You know his program better than I do?
No, that's about the UK guys.
I see. Good, you clarified. Okay, let me try to answer these very interesting questions. Okay, शैलेंद्र जी, आपसे आपका पहला सवाल था जो घटना ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कुछ दिनों पहले हुई है घटना, आई थिंक 6 तारीख की घटना है। देखिए, बहुत दुखद घटना है जिसके साथ हम अवगत हैं। हमारी ये जानकारी है कि मतलब वहाँ पे अभी वो अस्पताल में है, ट्रीटमेंट चल रहा है उनका। हमारे जो हाई कमीशन है कैनबरा में और कॉन्सुलेट सिडनी में है, ये उनके मतलब लोकल अथॉरिटीज़ के साथ क्लोज टच पे हैं, और उनके फैमिली के साथ भी यहाँ पे हम कांटेक्ट में हैं। आई थिंक और हमारे कुछ आई थिंक एक ऑफिशियल सिडनी में अस्पताल में भी जाके उनको मिल पाए, और हमारे कॉन्सुलर जो सर्विसेज हैं हमने उसको एक्सटेंड किया, और हमें अभी ज्ञात हुआ है कि कुछ एक सस्पेक्ट हैं जो हिरासत में ली गए हैं। पर इसके बारे में ज़्यादा डिटेल्स आपको ऑस्ट्रेलियन अथॉरिटीज़ के बारे में बता पाएंगे ऑन द इन्वेस्टिगेशन। पर हमारा यही एक्सपेक्टेशन यही है कि इसको सीरियसली देखा जाए और इसको जो कार्रवाई किया जाए जो भी परपेट्रेटर्स हैं। आपने पूछा था रेशियल है या नहीं, देखिए ऐसे स्पेकुलेशन पे मैं भी नहीं जाना चाहूँगा, पहले पता चले। हमारा भी फोकस है कि उसका ट्रीटमेंट चले, वो खतरे से बाहर रहें, और जिसको जो भी अपराधी है उसको पकड़ा जाए, फिर पता चलेगा कि क्या हो सकता है। अभी स्पेकुलेशन पे मैं नहीं जाना चाहूँगा। आई थिंक ऋषभ, योर क्वेश्चन वाज रिलेटेड टू दिस इशू, which was, yes, we have been in touch with the family here. We have requested the Australian High Commission here to expedite travel documents or visas so that family members could urgently go. I'm happy to hear that it's done. I know it was in process as I walked in, and we hope that they are able to go and meet their family member there. And I would only reiterate what I just told you, that we are focusing on that the alleged perpetrator has been arrested, we understand. We hope that is the case. This is a shocking incident. And our consulate official was at the hospital, I think, and has met the victim. And we are also in touch with local authorities. On the issue of Yashi, you talked about the Sika. Look, on Sika, you would have seen the statement by our Minister of State, Meenakshi Lekhi ji. She was there. She went as a special envoy of the Prime Minister. Her intervention there, we had made it public. I am unable to comment anything beyond that vis-a-vis what other people said, because, as I said, we have made it pretty clear what our position is on terrorism emanating from Pakistan. And, of course, we want normal relations with Pakistan is a statement that we've always said, but it has to be in an atmosphere that's conducive and that free from terrorism. I think that part is pretty well known. I don't need to really get into it in detail. So I don't have any additional comments to that. And I certainly am not going to try to clarify what our minister would have said there. Siddhant, you spoke, I think, of the issue of the so-called referendum. This is part 2 of that referendum, I understand. I think we had an occasion to discuss this one of our earlier presses. I think our position on this so-called referendum and by anti-India elements is well known. It has been conveyed to the Canadian government. We have publicly shared this information earlier. Now, we have taken up with the Canadian High Commission here in Delhi our concerns about this next phase of the so-called referendum in Canada, and also in Canada with the Canadian authorities. We will continue to take up these issues both in New Delhi and in Ottawa and elsewhere. So that's what I would like to convey on this issue. Sanjay, your comments, Manish, you had a comment on comments. You asking for a comment actually on the comment by UK Home Secretary, which is never a good idea to do that, and I am not going to be able to indulge you, I must confess. But let me just make perhaps a couple of broader points. Look, there are ongoing negotiations, as we know, on the FTA. And there is interest on both sides to see if we can work towards, a deal, an FTA that is beneficial for both countries at an early date. But this is a, negotiation, trade negotiations. Best such matters are left, between the trade ministers of both countries. They've been dealt by the trade ministers of both countries, and I would think it's best left to them. However, let me make as I said, I wouldn't like to make a comment on the UK Home Secretary's statement, obviously. But let me just clarify this larger issue of mobility and consular matters. This is a separate issue. And there are understandings between both countries. And going forward, this will require mutual implementation of these understandings. And I think I will, let that be the message from this. Sanjay, you have mentioned, again, yours also related partly to this. I certainly am not party or going to accept what you prefaced your question with, same as Sanjay Manish has said. Look, as I said, there are negotiations underway. I didn't realize the negotiations have come to a halt. I certainly have not been informed of that nature. We think let this be left to the negotiators. I haven't seen any statement where the UK has blamed India. I saw lots of well-meaning media reports. Let me leave it at that. I don't know where they get these from. I think negotiators are at it. And let me reiterate our interest on both sides, I think, to reach some kind of a deal, FTA, that helps both countries. Okay, next round of questions. If you have something direct related to this.
Do you think, are you hopeful that you'll be able to seal this deal by the end of this month as was proposed last time?
I don't think the end of the month business came in. I think there was the general goal of trying to get it done by Diwali. As I said, I think last week, it's a goal. But goals are dependent on the negotiations. That's why they're called negotiations. So let me not complicate the negotiators' lives by saying it has to be done by a certain date. I think the UK side also said something saying they would like a good deal rather than just artificial deadline. I think that sums it up well. Okay, yeah, please.
सर मैं कविता जोशी हूँ हरिभूमि न्यूज़पेपर से। मेरा सवाल सर चाइना की तरफ से जो स्टूडेंट वीज़ा को लेकर है, क्या चीन ने मतलब भारतीय छात्रों को जो वहाँ पर मेडिकल की इंजीनियरिंग की पढ़ाई के लिए काफ़ी समय से वीज़ा का इंतज़ार कर रहे थे, ऐसे 1300 छात्रों को वीज़ा दिया है, क्या इसके बाद ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये इशू जो है वीज़ा वाला चाइना के साथ जल्दी ख़त्म हो सकता है?
Who else was there? Somebody on this side? 1 second. Yeah, please.
Hi sir, this is Akshay Dongre from India Today. Former media executive Zulfikar Ahmed Khan and another Indian have been missing since July 21, and the family is saying that they have even reached out to the Prime Minister now, in fact, or they are planning to. So what is the update on that, if you have any?
Okay, fair enough. There was a hand somewhere else. Yes, sir, please.
This is Partha Venkateshwara, freelance journalist. I just wanted to know the position of India. India abstained on the vote against Russia on the annexation process. The abstinence, can we infer that India has reservations about annexation process? Does the government have a position?
This is on the UN GA vote or the UN?
UNGA vote.
UNGA vote, I thought. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to you. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, please.
Myself, Manohar Manoj from Economy India. I just want to know what is the latest update over the Indian manufactured drug havoc in African country.
Sorry, I want to rephrase your question.
One syrup drug created some havoc in African country. So that was raised on the international fora. So what is the latest update on that?
If you are unable to specify which country, I'm going to answer also on those lines. But if you are talking specific African country, yes, then I know what you're talking about.
The name of the country.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Yeah. Gambia. The Gambia. Yeah. Fair enough. I'll come back. I'll answer that. If it's not a general question, I'm happy to answer it. Okay. I'll take one more question there, right at the back, and I'll come back to you in the next round.
Hi, this is Ryosuke Hanada from Nikkei. And regarding the recent G20 Finance Leaders Summit, they couldn't make the joint statement. And regarding this kind of disrupted situation, you give me
Sorry, slowly. I can't hear you clearly.
So regarding the recent G20 Finance Ministers Summit, the participated country could not make the joint statement. And could you give me some of the comment about these kind of disrupted situation among the major countries?
You're talking not of the summit. You said summit. What you meant is the finance ministers meeting in Washington. Okay. FMGB. Okay. And your question is that they couldn't come up with the agreed text? And if you have any comment on that, if I've got you correct?
Right.
Okay, fair enough. If there are no further questions, I'll just take his and close it here, or you have some more? Then we'll come another round. Okay. Let me... कविता जी आपने प्रश्न पूछा था ये चाइना में जो इंडियन छात्र हैं उनके वीज़ा के बारे में। पिछले बार हमने कुछ कहा था इसके बारे में, आपको याद होगा, हमने कहा था कि कुछ वीज़ा पे शुरू हुए हैं, उन्होंने कुछ वीज़ाज वो कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने वीज़ा दे रहे हैं। पर जैसे समझ सकते हैं वीज़ा इशू हमारे साथ नहीं होता है, वो स्टूडेंट और चाइनीज़ गवर्नमेंट के साथ होता है। हमें बताया गया है कि वो स्टूडेंट्स अपने यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को कॉन्टैक्ट करें और धीरे धीरे उनके वीज़ाज इशू हो रहे हैं। 1300 हुए या नहीं ये मैं कह नहीं सकता हूँ, क्योंकि मैंने चाइनीज़ सूत्रों ने या चाइनीज़ सरकार ने, चाइनीज़ गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है इसके बारे में। हमें एग्जैक्ट डिटेल्स के बारे में नहीं मालूम है, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स, हमें जितना दूर मालूम है कि चाइना में जो वीज़ाज़ का जो प्रक्रिया थी, कुछ वीज़ाज़ में चेंज हुआ था, पर हमारा फोकस था कि ये स्टूडेंट्स जा पाएँ चाइना, जो इतने दिनों के लिए उनको दिक्कत आ रही थी। इस बारे में हमें बताया गया था कि कुछ छात्रों को उन्होंने आइडेंटिफाई किया है और कुछ प्रोसेस था वो कंप्लीट करने के बाद उनकी यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ कॉन्टैक्ट में रहें और उनको वीज़ा के बारे में बताया जाएगा। लग रहा है कि कुछ स्टूडेंट्स अभी जाना शुरू हो गए हैं, कुछ स्टूडेंट्स, पर अभी काफ़ी और रुके हुए हैं, तो हम इस पर नज़र बनाए रखेंगे और देखेंगे कैसे हम इसकी हेल्प कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स जा पाएँ। पर फाइनली ये चाइनीज़ गवर्नमेंट का डिसीजन है और उसमें डिटेल्स आपको चाइना से ही मिल पाएगा कि कितने स्टूडेंट्स को उन्होंने वीज़ा दिया है। अक्षय, आई थिंक योर क्वेरी वॉज ऑन द केस ऑफ द missing Indian nationals in Kenya, right? That was the query, if I've got it correct. Look, as far as we understand, there were 2 Indian nationals, Zulfikar Ahmed Khan and Zaid Sami Kidwai. They've been missing there in Kenya since, I think, mid-July, July 23rd is what I have. Look, a police complaint has been filed there pretty soon after that. Subsequently, a habeas corpus petition was filed in the Kenyan court. We understand that the issue is now sub judice in the High Court of Kenya. Number of hearings have taken place. I think recently, this week, I think one hearing took place. Our High Commission has been in continuous touch with the Kenyan authorities. We are also, I think, in touch with some family members. Let me emphasize that we attach the highest consideration and attention to the safety and their well-being of these Indian national, like we do with many others. I don't have really any update because, as you can realize, the police authorities as well as the judicial authorities in Kenya are involved in this, and they're trying to find out what is there. We are keeping a close eye on watch on this developments, and if there is any update, we will certainly share that. But at this point, I'm afraid they are still missing. Moving on to, I think, Mr. Partha, you had there you are. On the UNGA, recent UNGA vote vis-a-vis Russia's, annexation efforts at these Ukraine. Look, I think on this one, I think our position has been made pretty clear. You prefaced it by saying, "Is this an indicator of that we accept?" No, I think that's. I would not be in a position to agree with your perspective on that. We had explanation of vote, which sums up our position. If you wish, I will recall some of the elements of that. We certainly have been talking about the importance that we attach, that in our explanation of vote, and I can quote from that if you wish, that the global order that we all subscribe to is based on international law, the UN Charter, and respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty of all states. These principles must be upheld. We said that during the explanation of vote. We also said some other elements of it. Of course, our vote on any resolution is made keeping in mind the totality of the situation and the text of the resolution. And I think we've explained why we did that in our EOV. I don't have much else to add, but except to say I disagree with putting that hypothesis on from our perspective. Manohar, you had asked about the Gambia. Look, that's a very, very unfortunate story where, children have died reportedly due to spurious drugs. I think our health authorities issued a detailed statement in this regard already a few days ago. I would refer you to that. Investigation is underway by drug regulators in India. Yes, exactly. There is a company in question. I don't want to name it here, but it's there in the press release by the, I think, Ministry of Health. Our drug regulatory authorities are undertaking investigation. Certain steps have been taken, as you would have seen. We are also in touch with the government of the Gambia. You would have seen the External Affairs Minister's conversation with the Foreign Minister of Gambia, I think yesterday, and he issued a tweet on that. And he talked about, he briefed him a little bit on the investigation. I agreed to remain in touch. So on that part of it, I would request you to contact our drug regulatory authorities. They would have a better idea of that. But we are in touch with the Gambia and we are following this development closely. As regards, I think you had a comment, you had a midday comment on the foreign finance ministers meeting that's just taking place in Washington. I think it's underway. Look, we are cognizant that in certain G20 meetings, there have been lack of consensus on documents that have been outcome documents, and we've had to resort to chair summaries, etc. I think this question would be better put to the chair, which is the Indonesia, instead of me trying to gauge or sense that. We are just a participant for the moment. Of course, we are part of the Troika and we will be taking up the presidency from 1st of December. But for the moment, I think we shouldn't take over their role as the chair and let them perhaps give a sense of how the dynamics of the conversation of such meetings are. So I'll leave it at that. Sorry, some more questions. You had a hand, but the second question? Okay, go ahead. I remember following.
Rishabh from Times now.
Yeah.
So a businessman from Greater Noida in Uttar Pradesh was traveling to Switzerland with family on 12th of October, and he was arrested from Abu Dhabi airport. It is claimed that his face resembled someone who was on wanted list, and that's why he has been arrested. Anything that you can tell me about this?
In Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi, yes.
Okay. You had a query. Yeah.
Sir, Meghna from DDNews. Recently, there has been an advisory that was issued by India and Ukraine, our embassy there in Ukraine, for Indian nationals to avoid unnecessary travel. So, do we have any number on our Indians traveling back to Ukraine, or what is the situation there? Any update on that as well?
Okay. Any other queries? Yes, sir.
Neville from Sky News. Next year, King Charles III was going to be coronated, and the Queen is supposed to wear a crown which will have the Kohinoor in it. Is there any comment from the government on that?
On the which part do you want to comment on? Where the crown has a Kohinoor, where the
getting it back,
getting it back,
or not wearing it
will have painful memories.
Okay, fair enough. No other questions? We'll close it with this. You have a third supplementary? Okay, please tell me this. I can't hear you without the microphone.
So would India be happy that she's not wearing the Kohinoor, which is sort of demanded?
You can't get me into that by phrasing it different. I will answer his question. Nothing else? Okay. Rishabh, look, I'm hesitant to get to individual consular cases unless they are of a nature that, have like the incident in Australia or some like Kenya. There are many consular cases. I remember seeing a report on this, but I don't have any updates, so I will not comment on individual cases, certainly not where somebody's been arrested by other authorities. But as a general principle, whenever the Indian national abroad is in trouble or requires consular assistance, our embassy or our consulate or high commission there will provide whatever consular assistance we can. I don't want to get into individual specific or whether he's wrongly arrested but whatever consular assistance is required or can be provided will be provided. Rest assured on that. Meghna, on your question regarding the situation in Ukraine, look, yes, our embassy there issued an advisory. This was just after a renewed level of bombing and all across cities, on Ukraine earlier this week, where they asked those Indians who might be in there to take certain preventive and precautionary measures. We are trying to ascertain how many Indians are there, including some students who had gone back. I don't have a number to share with you. For obvious reasons, this will be a very informal number, so better I do not get into it. But yes, our embassy is trying to contact them. I think they should advise us to contact the embassy also. So we are building up a database of how many people have reached. All may not be in danger or in areas, so let me not complicate that. But yes, depending on the situation on the ground, as well as the development that happen, our embassies issue advisories for travelers as well as Indians who are resident there. And this was an occasion where we felt that a heightened sense of security, because of a heightened sense of risk to security, we did issue an advisory. I understand, but that's from media reports, that the situation is slightly better now for the last couple of days. But again, look, this is a conflict situation, and it's probably not a right to make sweeping statements which might change immediately. Neville, on the Kohinoor, really speaking, that's perhaps a little beyond the foreign policy dimensions of this. Let me. But since you raised, my understanding is that we as in the government of India has responded to this in Parliament. Last being maybe a few years ago. Okay, 2018, a few years ago. We have said in that that we have been raising this matter from time to time with the UK government, the authorities, and that we will continue to explore ways and means obtaining a satisfactory resolution of the matter. And I don't think beyond that I have much to add. Once you said something in Parliament, I don't think we have an update on that. Happiness and not happiness are not for the state and certainly not for us to say, but I said it is something that we have been taking up. So that's where it is. I would वो हमने, आप अगर हिंदी में चाहते हैं, देखिए ये इसका जवाब इस प्रश्न अगर कह लें, क्योंकि इन्होंने टिप्पणी है, हम खुश रहेंगे या नहीं, या क्या हमारा रिएक्शन है, ये पार्लियामेंट में इसका जवाब एक ऐसे उत्तर पे बीच बीच में देते रहते हैं. जैसे इन्होंने कहा 2018 में लास्ट ऐसा आई थिंक हमें जवाब दिया गया, तो उसके पहले भी दे चुके हैं कि हम in fact I have that here, that हमने ये जो मुद्दा है, हमने रेलेवेंट अथॉरिटीज़ ये कोहिनूर और भी जो एंटिक्विटीज़ पुरानी हैं, हमने यूके गवर्नमेंट या दूसरे सरकारों के साथ हम ये इशू मुद्दा उठाते रहते हैं, और हम कोशिश करते रहेंगे और देखते रहेंगे क्या उपाय हैं हमारे पास, इसका कोई समाधान निकले, जो सेटिस्फैक्ट्री कोई समाधान निकले. पर मुझे उसके बाद से और कोई अपडेट मेरे पास अभी नहीं है. थैंक यू. I thought I had a last round of questions then, but if you have, that's fine. Okay, you have something. You're still standing. Do not close there, please. You will come in the way. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Rita from ANSA News Agency Italian. Any updates about the extradition cases of Malia and Modi, please?
Who?
Vikram Malia and...
Oh, Malia, okay.
Malia and
Vijay Malia, okay. And Nirav Modi.
Thank you.
Okay. Abhishek, you had a question. You have to take a seat somewhere.
Sir, Abhishek from CNN.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is regarding German Foreign Minister's recent remark on Kashmir. I think...
slowly. German Foreign Ministers.
German Foreign Ministers. I think Amin has also issued some statement regarding that.
Yes.
Have you heard anything from the German side after you raised this matter?
I'll take that question first. You are a good journalist. You would have seen the German ambassador make statements to the media, which I saw. So I've only seen it in the media. Look, I think we issued a detailed statement on this, clarifying how we saw that the press conference between the German foreign minister and the Pakistani foreign minister, and their comments specifically on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. I don't think we have much else to add to that. I think it's pretty comprehensive. And I think I saw some comments by the German ambassador here clarifying the perspective of the German government. I think I would let it be at that. Regarding your query on that, no, I don't really have an update. This is something that we follow closely. We try to, keep in touch with not just these other fugitives, economic fugitives from justice here. And these are two you mentioned vis-a-vis, I think, UK, but there are other jurisdictions where they are there. I don't this week have any update because this is the lengthy legal process that is underway. But we monitor it, and any developments on that we try to follow up. Certainly our missions, our high commissions and embassies involved are closely pursuing this issue, and we hope that they are brought back to India to face justice. Okay, thank you very much for this attending. Good afternoon.